Hey, how you going? My name's Jono. I'm at sportpartner.com and the NFL season is just about to start, and I've got some good news that I've completely and utterly rejigged the NFL model. So I've put a lot of player database into it. I've reworked it from the very start, and so I'm quite excited by this coming year. I'm going to go through some of the stats and some of the analysis, look at some of the strategies on how you should bet. And hopefully we'll have a good year. So let's go first. Let's have a look at some of the ratings that I've come up with. Here are my top rated quarterbacks at the moment. Aaron Rodgers from Green Bay, fantastic. Pat Mahomes, everyone knows about Pat Mahomes, don't they? Deshaun Watson, he's gone missing, hasn't he? Off the field for sexual discriminations. He's been named as the backup ruckman for Houston, so that'll be very interesting to see how he goes. You go down the list. You've got Dak Prescott coming back from an ankle injury from Dallas. You've got Tom Brady down the list. You've got Russell Wilson just above him. I think the 7th rated. So I've got the top. Here it is. I don't know if you can see it. There it is. Russell Wilson, number 3. I also went to the Super Bowl and saw him play. Funny story, actually, now I talk about it. We went, me and a few friends went into a shop, thought we better get a Guernsey or a jersey. And they had sold out of the Tom Brady tops, and so we said, we'll just get the Seahawks one, and said, you've got Russell Wilson on there, is that okay? And I've gone, who's he? So, but I don't know. I do now, but it was a really cool Super Bowl, indeed. So he's up there as well. So there's the list. That looks pretty good, I think. If you look at here, we've got the rushers from the back line. You've got Alvin Kamara at the top. You've got Aaron Jones in second. And, can I just say, just to prove a point, the top 2 positions are people with dreadlocks. I mean, dreadlocks, they're so talented. And you've got lots of other players down the list there, so that's fantastic. I've got some ratings here. These are really interesting. Some of these, you've got Lee Smith, the tight end. A few weird results. These are for receivers. You've got Tyron Johnson is a wide receiver. First year for the Chargers. It's Scott there, but he now has been traded off to Jacksonville. But then you've obviously got another wide receiver, Justin Jefferson, pick 20. But then you've got Devontae Adams. So even there's a few weird ones up the list, you've got Green Bay's Devontae Adams, who got a MVP, I believe, his 3rd player of the year last year. So that's fantastic. He's done really well. A few little weird ones in there. And you got defenders, TJ Watt, legend. Aaron Donald in number 2. I have him as the 3rd time defensive best MVP player in the last 4 years. So that's really good as well. So I think those numbers sort of stand up. And then you've got the punters. My punter ratings, look, between you and me, unless they're Australian, who cares? So that's that. So what we're going to get onto now is how the model has worked. And this is a year by year how the model has gone. This is for the line betting on the left-hand side there and for the totals betting on the right. And I haven't just made a model, made it as good as I can, and then go back and see how it would have gone, because you'd have some selection bias there. So what you do for 2014, you only use data up until the very start of 2014. So you're using maybe year 2000 up to and including 2013, not including anything after that, and then see how it goes in 2014. And then you do the same for 2015, new model, because of the variables slightly changed, the coefficients slightly changed, and see how it goes in 2015. You do that so many different times. It's a long process, I know, but it's the only way to make your model completely unbiased. And this is how it's gone. So line betting, 3.7% on over 1,000 bets, and totals about the same, over 1,300 bets. Encouraging here with totals the last 4 years. It's really done really, really well. Struggled a bit early, further back. Whereas probably the opposite for line betting, did really well early and sort of struggling a little bit in the last few years. But we'll get into the nitty gritty about that, and we'll try and work strategies out that can maximise our potential return. And we'll nitpick and cherry pick, no doubt, as well. So here we have how line betting on the left-hand side, once again, totals betting on the right, we've gone week by week. So here you can see on the left, it's probably taken a little while to get started. I think it's a little bit slow. I think, no, that's done pretty good. So line betting, it started started pretty well. It's quite finished well, so it's been relatively consistent throughout the whole year over those 6 years or however many years. So that's really, really good. Totals betting, first 3 weeks it had made a loss, and then it just charges home, and my face is in the way. Sorry, those last little bits of data, but there's nothing really to see there anyway. And then does well. So maybe totals betting, stay out for the first 3 weeks. We're going to have a look a bit more closer for that data. Firstly, I think it's probably the most important thing you really should look at is the overlays. So here we have on the left line betting and then totals on the right again. So on the left you've got overlay between 5 and 7.5%, between 7.5 and 1, and so on. You expect as your overlay increases, so should your profits. And this is exactly what we see on line betting, and that's really, really encouraging. That at the bottom we've actually made a loss up to about 15%. It's not encouraging to make a loss. You just hope that that value increases over time. And as you can see with the higher overlays, you're getting higher profits. So that's very encouraging. That if you halt the minimum overlays, bet only a minimum overlay at 15%, you're making about 8.2% return. Obviously, you're sort of nitpicking at 15, you can make it 20 if you want, or whatever to sort of make sure that you're getting the value there. That's up to you. On the overlays for the totals, you're sort of seeing that there's a big discrepancy here actually, like at between 3 to 3.5%. You're looking at 30 to 35%. You're only looking at 64 bets, so there's got to be a little bit of randomization issues there, especially when the time before that actually made more money than that one. So there could be a bit of small sample size error there, but that's pretty convincing. You notice also in the first up to about 12.5%, it actually made a loss and then made a profit up there. So I'm happy also at betting about 15% plus on the totals. Made 4.5%. But we can look at the totals a little bit more in depth because I'm really happy with the lines there. We can look at them more in depth. We look at the overs and unders as separate two betting techniques. In the overs, we didn't do very well early on, and we've done really well later, which is probably an indication. I think I put a slide up online about how year by year the totals are increasing in NFL. So it kind of makes sense, doesn't it, that earlier on the lower overlays, over betting, were not doing as well, and later on the overs were doing well, and especially well in 2020, 42 bets at 32%, which had a lot more overs come through. And I think a lot of the reason was that was because the penalties there was a lot more penalties against the defensive plays, which made the game more higher scoring, a lot more first downs. If you look week by week, it didn't do well at the start, and not bad week in week 15. Small sample sizes, but overall 1.1%, yeah, whatever. And overlays, looking at the overlays for totals, it's once again, that's probably where that discrepancy looked from 0.3 to 0.35 in some of those larger losses in the overs betting. Whereas we look at unders, it's very encouraging to see unders doing well here in later years, even though overs did well, and it's also getting higher scoring as well. Unders betting still has done pretty good throughout the year, and also the overlays I think is pretty consistent as well. So what we might do now, we might just look at 2017 with only 15% overlays. We are cherry picking, I know, because the previous years didn't do as well. But, that makes it more encouraging to think that we're going to make heaps of money, so that's good. So yeah, 11%, that's great. So this is overs only. Once again, starts off a bit slow from week 2 onwards. A little bit of a gap here just before the playoffs. That may be because of teams giving, resting a few players, can't make the final, so put in a different quarterback, something. I'm not really sure, but that's also a very small sample size, so I'm not too fussed. And once again, we get that negative there, but I'm not too fussed about that. Who would be fussed if you're making 11% return? Look at the unders. Starts off fine, finishes fine. No problems with betting 15% overlays on the unders. And as you can see, they're very, very good. But what is interesting, I think, here is in 2020 we had 10 bets on the overs, and in 2022 we had 112 bets on the unders, and that's very, very different to previous years when it's been pretty much normal or maybe even more unders bets. So obviously there's a discrepancy. The games, the scores got higher, which made us bet the unders more. So what we can do, and I will do this, and I can actually, I'll probably analyze the results of doing this, is just arguably look at the list of like 15 or 16 games that you've got throughout each round. Put the odds in, put in predictions, and if it's saying like, oh, you're betting on like, 10 unders and 1 over, then you can just manually adjust the prices so it comes closer towards even. And that's what I plan on doing, and we'll analyse to see if that made a better result in 2020. But we'll just see, and hopefully we'll get some good results. But if it's anything like these, 15% overlays, 67% from 10 bets. Well, I think they ordered well, didn't they? I mean, I don't know. Or this one here, so anything like this as well, 8.7%. We'll be laughing. So sign up, I think, and hopefully we will be able to make a few profits together. Best of luck. See ya.